Hi, welcome. This is the first in a series of talks that I want to focus on the 7 major chakras and go into a little bit of depth today about Muladhara, the base or the root chakra. So I just want to use a slide or two to help this. Okay. So I want to just talk briefly about what are chakras so that we have an understanding. And what they are, they're like vortices or wheels that carry consciousness in our whole being. And many people don't realize that they actually open and allow a certain amount of subtle energy into our system. So they're sort of like a vortex that opens, and the amount that they allow in depends upon the spiritual development of that person. So as you progress, chakras open and they're able to allow more subtle energy, or what we call prana. It originally comes from the sun and is all pervading. In fact, modern science is starting to look at theories now that the ancient wisdom has talked about for a long time in terms of our whole universe being an energetic universe connected by electricity or energy that moves with electric charge. So the chakras interpenetrate and link your etheric energy body and your physical body, and they give your physical body its life force energy. Okay, so it's a subtle energy. So they act like a series of valves, if you like. And so a good analogy is if you imagined that you connected a water tap to a garden hose. So once the tap is turned on, the water should flow smoothly through the system, unless there's a kink in the hose or a blockage in the energy, or any of the valves are too open or too closed. And this is how the subtle energy flows in your body. Now, each chakra, we're going to look at the 7 major chakras. There are up to 49 in your body. You have them in your hands and your feet, as well as these 7 major centers. And you can think of them as like lotus flowers that are resonating at different frequencies. And this is what gives them colors, and they correspond to the colors of the rainbow, although that can change depending upon the state of the person. So the 7 major chakras spin in or out of balance. When they're in balance, we tend to be expressing qualities of love. So this subtle energy doesn't just have physical effects, it very definitely has emotional, mental, spiritual effects. So our chakras really reflect how we are on all levels. So when they're out of balance, we'll be expressing the many different manifestations of fear. Okay. Now, each chakra has outer petals, some secondary layer of petals, and an inner layer of petals. And then it has a point right in the middle, which they call the Bindu point. And this is a point that is totally quiescent. It's a point of stillness. Okay, so the outer petals, which are very active in most people and in most chakras, and they reflect physical form. So they respond to our physicality down here in the material world. The second tier tend to be starting in various stages of unfoldment in most people, and they reflect the love aspect. So you can see some correlations with some of the things that Ted was talking about in terms of the petals. The inner petals around the Bindu point tend to be open and starting to open in some people, but not so active in most people. And they reflect the unfoldment of the will aspect. Okay. So these chakras, the importance of the chakras is for us to connect energetically with our environment. And if one of our main remits here is to spiritualize matter, they are where the spiritual energies are coming into our whole system, and we are able to bring that expression of spiritual energy to manifest in our everyday lives, to spiritualize matter. They're also affected by energies coming up through the earth. And so you can think of the chakras really as you have the spirit or the father energy, you have the earth or the mother energy, and these two come together to form the sun or the soul. And the soul very much, the soul infuses our etheric body. It allows this energy through these vortices, like I said, in direct correlation to our spiritual development. So as we progress and grow and develop spiritually, our soul will allow more subtle energy through our chakras, through particular chakras, depending on where we are in our development and what we are doing. Okay, so I want to talk just a little bit more. So you could think of the chakras like the rainbow bridge, or a connecting channel between heaven and earth, between mind and body, between spirit and matter, the past and the future. They really are a vehicle of consciousness. So they're wheels that carry consciousness, is the best way to think of them. So the chakras and your energy body. So by the age of 21, they're mature, and they will represent the point of your last incarnation. So before the age of 21, everything is still settling down. Okay, but from 21 onwards, we're back to where we were last time round. And what we have coiled in the base of the spine, and I'll talk a little bit more about this Kundalini energy, because this is a spiritual fire. And this is an energy, it comes from the earth, and it has a negative polarity. And the same energy has a positive polarity in the sun. And Kundalini energy wants to move up. And as it moves up, it activates chakras to bring transformation of the lower man and raise that energy up, raise the person's consciousness, levels of consciousness, raise their vibration until eventually that they become a perfected or enlightened being. So this spiritual fire or fohat energy, it comes. It's something that I haven't got time to go into fohat. It's a huge subject just in itself, but it's a force that comes up, and in each chakra it will activate not only the 3 tiers in different proportions, but also that bindu, that quiescent point, and this is what leads to the transformation. So they allow energies through in direct measure to the evolutionary development of that individual. Most people on the planet today, their centers below the diaphragm. So from the solar plexus to the sacral to the base chakra are all open and spinning and bringing in this energy. More spiritually inclined people are starting to develop that antakarana, that rainbow bridge, and they're starting to open the heart and the throat centers. And then you have more advanced initiates on the planet who are opening the ajna and the crown centers. But they don't just open they open your awareness, but if we were to suddenly open all of our chakras right now, the energy would burn out our etheric body. It would burn out our subtle energy pathways in the body, because it would be too soon. We wouldn't have made the progress that would enable us to cope with those energies. And for this reason, there's many practices where people try to prematurely get that Kundalini energy to rise, or involved in practices that try and open chakras. And this is really not a good idea and can lead to some quite catastrophic mental health problems, nervous system problems, quite serious physical health problems, because they're supposed to open in their own time as you follow your path of development. So looking at the chakras in the body, they form a vertical column of connected energy associated with the spine. But this is a subtle energy pathway called the Sushumna. And in between, the energy comes up through from the base chakra through two pathways, the Ida and the Pingala, and at each chakra it crosses over and it sort of weaves up like this, and that causes the spin of each chakra as it goes up, and they alternate between yin and yang, and this energy moves up through these two channels called the Ida and the Pingala. So the Ida terminates in your left nostril and stimulates the right side of your brain and tends to be feminine in quality. The Pingala terminates in the right nostril, stimulates the left brain, tends to be masculine. So when in balance, this energy naturally rises up through that central channel, the Sushumna, and the energy flows through the chakras. So there is an interconnectedness between the chakras. So I've put there, personal development naturally opens chakras, but it's not a good idea to try and prematurely open them. Just check, run through everything I want to before. Oh, yes. There are certain chakras that have specific relationships to each other, and this is a vast subject, so I'm sort of trying to condense a lot of information here. But basically, through our development, our base chakra tends to transfer later in our development to the crown. The solar plexus, there's a transformation or transmutation process from solar plexus up to the heart, and the sacral to the throat. And again, this is something that happens naturally. But you do need to be aware that when chakras are going through a transformation or a major change or a major opening or an unblocking, they do tend to create inflammation in the body. So sometimes we think it's physical disease, but the origins may be in this natural process of the chakras opening. So it might be that we have moved some anger issues with our childhood, maybe from the solar plexus up into the heart, and this has caused some inflammation that gives us some gut symptoms or some problems with our gallbladder or our liver, that sort of thing. So the chakras, even though they're subtle energy, and you've got this energy coming in, and you've got meridian pathways. In Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine, you've probably heard of meridian pathways, which are subtle pathways of energy through the body. And then the subtle energy meets the physical at the glands. So each of the meridians, each of the chakras have certain glands associated with them. And I'm going to show you a chart in a little while that will help you to understand that bigger picture. The other thing I wanted to say, in many people, sometimes chakras are dormant, sometimes they're sluggish, or they're not quite vibrating as they should. But the way that I'm going to go through a lot of ways with each of these chakras that you can help to balance them if you recognize that they are out of balance. But really the thing that natural spiritual development is the key, and living harmlessly is one of the most powerful ways of addressing imbalances in each of the chakras. So you can think about living harmlessly with respect to each of the particular flavor or vibrational energies of these chakras. So now I want to focus on Muladhara, the base chakra. So it's depicted as a 4-petaled lotus, and those 4 petals represent the 4 elements associated with the earth. And then there is a square that is the symbol for the earth, and within that you have a downward pointing triangle. And this downward pointing triangle is because Muladhara is where we connect to the energy of the earth. It brings us down into material world, and we can be as spiritually aware and knowledgeable as you like. Okay, we can have lots of theory and knowledge in our mind that of a spiritual nature, but if we are not grounded, we cannot spiritualize matter. We cannot bring it down and take it out from our soul, from the sun, from our heart, and distribute that energy out into the world. And this is where the base, sometimes people are focusing on opening and working with higher centers, and they completely forget that you've got to have your base connected, grounded. It's like building the upper stories of a house before you've put the foundations in. It's not a good idea, and the house won't hold. So your base chakra is very much about your roots, your tribe. It's about belonging. It's about family. It's about trusting that your basic survival needs will be met. But it's also about feeling like your tribe will look after you. You are part of something. So it's very fundamental to our, you can see not just our physical well-being in terms of, you know, when we're born, we need family to physically take care of our needs. We need to know throughout our life that we've got enough money to eat. We've got somewhere shelter to live. But it's also our emotional needs for belonging, our emotional needs for connection with other people. And you will have noticed when we've been through this pandemic with lockdown, the base chakra, a lot of the changes we've gone through have really been challenging the base chakra, our fundamental need for human contact, for physical hugging, human contact, people who are on their own. You know, just suddenly you're in lockdown. How do I get food into my house? How do I feed my family? Have I got enough money? I've lost my job. I've lost my livelihood. So we've had a lot of challenge to our base chakra of late, as a collective, as well as many of us individually. Now, each of the chakras have archetypes. Okay, and the positive archetype to do with Muladhara is the Earth Mother. Okay, so this is associated with nourishment and caring, learning to love unconditionally. And by recognizing the Earth Mother within yourself, you acknowledge that you're capable of providing all the emotional and physical security you need for yourself by yourself. So you come to realize this autonomy that you have, the capabilities that you have, and this can take a lifetime. And then the other extreme, the sort of victim, the negative, I suppose, personification of the base chakra is very dysfunctional. It's the victim. They blame everybody else for their problems and don't take any responsibility for meeting their own needs. It's only by recognizing that you have the power to provide everything you need within yourself that you reframe your experiences in life into opportunities for self-sufficiency, for strength, for emotional wholeness, for growth, rather than, so you take personal responsibility for your life and acknowledge you have choices and deserve the best that life can offer. Okay, so these sort of issues are what the emotional issues, if you like, of the base chakra. So if the chakra is too open, okay, it's spinning too fast, we tend to get bullying behavior. Someone might be overly materialistic. So all their safety and security is focused on material things. They'll be very unhappy if they don't have enough money, or may feel like they can never make enough money, but it is a focus. They're often quite self-centered, and you can have people who are physically quite foolhardy. Okay, they're not taking self-responsibility for looking after their own physical body, and so they'll do things that are a bit crazy. So if it's blocked, so it's spinning too slow, there's not enough subtle energy coming in through the base, a person can be manifest as very needy, tend to have a low self-esteem. A lot of your fundamental self-empowerment comes from your base. There can be self-destructive and harming behavior. And quite often we see this when a person has had emotional traumas in their childhood where they question whether they belonged or whether they could trust they were going to be nourished and loved and cared for. We see self-destructive behavior manifesting later on. Often people who are very fearful, because the base is about feeling safe and secure, it brings up the fears and doubts. So when it's balanced, when you're grounded and you're connected and your base is balanced, there's a growing sense of self-mastery. The person tends to have high physical energy because they are connecting to the energy of the earth, and that energy is coming in and they're vitalizing their physical body. They tend to be grounded, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in a moment about what that means. And it tends to mean that they have quite robust physical health. Okay. Some of the physical dysfunctions associated, not always, but can be associated with base chakra issues, are osteoarthritis. And sometimes if your immune system is just not got a good resistance to infection, again, it's your whole body not feeling safe in the world, not coping with the world so well. So emotional dysfunctions, there can be a real mental lethargy, and a mind that just can't focus, is very spacey. And a person with a base that's not operating, that isn't strong, is often incapable of stillness. They would really struggle with meditation. And if we think of the base energy as eventually moving up to the crown, if a person with these base issues could start to learn, could start to do disciplines that ground their energy, maybe Tai Chi or Qigong or yoga, they will find that they can learn to sit in meditation. Sometimes there's difficulty achieving goals because there's that lack of trust that life or the universe will look after you, that life has your back, if you like. So what I want to just talk about, I want to talk a little bit about the base chakra in terms of grounding, because this is a whole huge subject in itself, and I have done a talk about grounding. But what happens is in your base, this is where the energy from life, from other people, from the earth comes in. And so there's a semi-permeable membrane associated with the base chakra that protects you, that makes sure that you don't get all the negative energies coming into your system. It also stops you being completely drained. And so this semi-permeable membrane is basically, if it's not working properly, then it allows, it affects all of the other chakras. So no Kundalini energy can reach any other chakras, any of the others, except through the base. This is where the serpent is coiled at the base, 7 coils. And as that energy rises up, it starts to activate different layers of our being. So this semi-permeable membrane, this electromagnetic field, controls the flow of energy, so the Kundalini fire doesn't burn out the etheric pathways associated with the central nervous system. So it controls the energies in and the energies that are allowed through the chakra. But the trouble is, what happens is if people have indulged in excessive alcohol over a long period of time, much drug use, and certain psychic practices and rituals, they can damage the semi-permeable membrane. And when it's weakened, we become really vulnerable to energy leakages, which depress our awareness and leave us open to attack, energy attack by others and draining by others. And it can, our whole etheric energy system becomes quite weakened. So the way that we protect ourselves, I don't want to go into sort of protecting yourself. The most important way to protect yourself is always seeking your higher self, counsel from your higher self in every situation, and by grounding our energy. So when we ground our energy, we protect ourselves. And what I mean by grounding, I mean that we are opening to the energies of the earth and we are connecting to that energy. And there are many practices in yoga, in Qigong, in Tai Chi, in many of the martial arts that ground your energy. Just walking bare feet on the earth grounds your energy. Putting your feet in the, wading in the sea, walking in a river, paddling in a lake, walking barefoot on wet grass, all of these things ground your energy. When you get out in nature, it grounds your energy. If you're up in an apartment in a high-rise building in the middle of a city, it's hard to ground your energy. People who are grounded, we find we're drawn to them. There's something magnetic about them because we have an innate sense that they are in touch with what's important. They belong. They're connected to the earth. They're rooted. They're strong. In a family, often there's a family member who grounds the family, and the family really struggles if that family member leaves. They are like the rock of the family. People who have a lot of earth signs in their chart, or whose sun sign or soul sign is an earth sign, tend to be more grounded. If you've got fire and air signs like me, you need to make sure you ground your energy. Okay. When someone is grounded, we find them attractive because of the sense that they're in touch with something important. People who are grounded tend to be able to attract energy in the form of money and hold on to it. People who are not grounded, it doesn't tend to stick around. Okay, so that can be an indication. Money is like any energy, it's supposed to flow. You can be too grounded. Okay, in the Hindu Trinity, we have three predominant energies. We've got Rajasic energy, which is your fire, movements, energy. Then you have a Tamasic energy, which is an energy that keeps you in one place, that asks you to reflect, that stops you and brings you into stillness. And then the balancing, when these two, like they're like the base of the triangle, when these two are in balance, you are able to experience a state they're called a sattvic energy, or sattva. And this I can only describe as that beautiful stillness you get at a sunrise or a sunset, or if you're deep in meditation and you just know that every level of your being is quiet and connected and integrated and one. It's a feeling of being whole or coming home. So sattva is, these three are called gunas. And what I would say with grounding, tamasic energy, which is the energy that connects you to the ground. Sometimes people can be too tamasic. They can't move forward. They can't instigate things. It's like in here, they have difficulty achieving goals because they're too tamasic. Okay, they need some of that Rajas fire to balance that, get them going, and then they need the inspiration from the sattva moments of deep connection with their intuition. So the being grounded helps you to sleep. Trying to think what else. it just keeps us healthy. Okay, it is one of the most important things for your mental and emotional health. If you spend too much time up in your head, okay, and not much time in your physical body or in an awareness of your physicality, it's almost like you're lifting up through those higher vibrations, those higher layers, but you're forgetting that you're actually here on earth for a reason. You're here to ground spiritual energies. You're here to spiritualize matter. So we need to be grounded to do that. And so sometimes if we spend, like if we have a job that's a very mental job, or we're spending all our time up in our head and we get quite spacey and a bit sort of, you need to ground your energy. So you'll find that if you get yourself outside, you get some fresh air, you maybe do some yoga, this sort of thing, you will find that the energy comes down, clears your head, and you feel much more in touch with things. To be mindful and present and aware, you need to be grounded. And that's why when we go into the meditation, I spend some time bringing you into an awareness of your physicality, clothes on the skin, body sitting on the chair, to bring you into the moment, to ground your energy. I'm also opening your base so that that lovely energy can start to flow through the chakras, keeping those channels open. So we're opening the crown to the spiritual energies, and we're opening the system so that that meditation can be of as beneficial as possible. I'm just going to throw this chart up, and I will make all of these PowerPoint slides available both when I send out the email with the recording link and also on YouTube through Google Documents. So this is just to give you an idea. Every one of the chakras has a Sanskrit name, they have a color, they have a sort of basic fundamental issues that you're dealing with. They have different glands, they have different parts of the body they're associated with, they have planets, they have astrological associations, they have senses. So you can see the base chakra here, it's about your survival and your physical needs. It's your adrenal gland. So this is your energy, this is where your metabolic fundamental energy for life. So if your adrenal glands are exhausted, you don't have a lot of life force energy, you don't have a lot of metabolic energy. Your bones and your skeletal structure is required to enable that subtle energy system to bring the energy down into matter. So Earth and Saturn, and our sense of smell. Some people associate the base chakra, I think it's quite funny, with food. Okay, it's fundamental nourishment that comes from the earth. I had a friend who told me that beer grounds you, and I would like to say I don't believe that is so, but there you go. He tried to convince me that was the case. There's different essential oils you can use to help bring the vibration of chakras into balance. There are crystals associated with each one. There are archetypes. We've got here the physical manifestations, the problems we have, the mental. We have different ceremonies, different foods, and the base chakra does tend to relate to when you're dealing with issues as an adult that are still there giving you problems in the base chakra, it does tend to go back to your childhood and whether your needs were met physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually as a child in your family of origin. And it's very much about learning to stand up for yourself, because although it's about belonging and being part of the tribe, in that tribe, you've got to start to be an individual as well. Okay, so next time we will start to look at the sacral chakra and the relationship between them. because quite often I see people in my yoga classes with a lot of problems with their back, with their lower back. And it's an interplay between the base chakra and the sacral chakra. And often people's backs, if you notice, people's backs will go when their basic survival needs are challenged. So how many people have had a bad back when they've been made redundant, when their marriage has broken up, when there's been some other major challenge to their safety, their survival, their trust, that life is going to meet their needs. And it's also to do with some of what's going on in the sacral chakra. So I'll bring that in next time, but just to give you a heads up on that. So what I'd like to do now is leave all that. Okay, you can ask me questions after the meditation, and I'll do my best to answer them. But I want to move now into the group meditation. So get yourself physically comfortable. And this is one of the reasons that we like to be upright when we meditate, is so that your physical spine is upright. And that means that your chakras are aligned, so that energy can flow, if you like. So I want you to just let all of that go and just have the intention that we're going to come together as a group. So we're coming together with group intention, heartfelt intention in this group meditation. And that doesn't matter if you're here live or you're watching through the recording. We all still belong. This is your tribe, if you like, okay? And I want you to imagine that you are grounding your energy. So because energy follows thought, we can ground our energy by imagining that you're sending roots down from your feet, centered just under the ball of your foot, down through the building you're in, down into the earth, deep into the core. Or you can do the same from the base chakra. So from the very base of your body, base of your spine, send that energy down to connect to the earth. And now just before we begin, I want to repeat the affirmation of love to bring us into our heart center and to open that heart chakra, that heart center. In the center of all love, I stand. From that center, I, the soul, will outward move. From that center, I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. Now gently close your eyes, and I want you to come into this present moment. So just become aware of your body sitting on the chair. Bring your awareness to the feeling of the clothes on your skin. And then take your awareness to your listening. So just allow sounds to come in, but be aware of the sounds in this moment. I want you to start to feel your body relax. So you're still upright but not rigid, releasing any tension in your shoulders or neck. And gently take your awareness to your breath. And just notice the breath coming in through your nose or your mouth. And then notice the breath as it leaves. I want you to imagine that you're opening a channel. So as you breathe, you're gently opening a channel right down through the very center of your body, between the sternum and the spine, and gradually all the way down. Ideally, we want to breathe through our nose if we can. And just place your hands gently on the top of your belly. And as you breathe in, just breathe into your hands. As you breathe out, feel your hands pulled gently back towards your spine. And just breathe in again as you're ready. So nice, slow, deep breaths in your own timing. Breathe in, your tummy fills with air. Breathe out, your tummy comes back towards your spine, releasing the air. And just find your own natural rhythm, but following the breath with your mind. And just keep this gentle focus on the breath. If your mind becomes distracted, as soon as you realize, just come back to the breath. And come back with loving kindness. No judgment, no criticism. The important thing is that you come back. So just let this focus on the breath take you into a quiet place inside. So that you are connecting with an inner stillness. So just allow thoughts to pass through your mind, but keep your focus on the breath. Just allow yourself to step back from those thoughts, resting in this quiet place, allowing the thoughts to simply come into your mind and pass through, so you simply observe them. And now I want you to bring your awareness to the center of your chest. And imagine that as you breathe, you're breathing into your heart center. And you're filling this center with light and with love.
Imagine that your heart enables you to connect to your soul. So through this awareness of your heart, you are opening up to your higher self or your soul. So let there be a feeling of gentle expansion in your chest, an opening, filling with light and with love. Now I want you to bring white or violet purple or gold light down from your higher self through the crown of your head, and allow this energy to flow through all the major energy centers, the chakras associated with your spine. I want you to see your heart as a vessel that receives and distributes the spiritual energy throughout your body. So it's coming in through the crown, into the heart, and from there it's distributed through your whole physical body, so that your physical body is filling with a purifying, cleansing, healing light. Bringing good health, strengthening your immune system, calming your emotional nature, bringing clarity to your mind. Now, as your physical body fills with light, I want you to let it flow out into the energy field or the aura that surrounds your physical body, your etheric body. And it is flowing through those meridian lines of energy. And this light releasing any blockages, bringing it all into a beautiful harmony and a balance, so you are vibrating with this energy from your higher self. So as your whole being fills with light and with love, I want you to allow it to radiate out to fill your home and all who reside there with you, all living creatures, plants, animals, people. And now let this light and this love flow out into your neighborhood. Let it connect with the hearts and minds of all who reside there. Now let it flow out into your community, radiating out to fill your town or your city. I want you to imagine that you connect this light and love pouring through your being with all of those who are joining us in this group meditation, so that our energies become one. And we fill this nation with light and with love. I want you to imagine it's flowing out even further, radiating out to fill this part of the world. To fill this hemisphere. And now allow it to flow out to fill our entire planet. To encompass the whole world. And to join with groups everywhere who are working in this way with the light and with love and with the will to good. Take your awareness now into space as if you were looking at our planet from a long distance. See our beautiful planet and see her surrounded by a beautiful light. Her own aura, her own etheric body. And see this light flowing down into our planet, healing her and restoring the balance in nature. So that our air and our waters are pure and clear. The ozone layer is healthy and restored. Our planet is healed. See all the animal and plant life flourishing. And see us come into right relations with the mineral, the plant, and the animal kingdoms. See this light and this love flowing into the hearts and minds of all of mankind, consciously or unconsciously. Envision this bringing peace, igniting goodwill and right relations between all of mankind, within individuals, with others, in families, in communities and nations, between nations, and as our human family. Lifting our awareness and the collective consciousness of all. Envision a world in which we live with peace and harmony. Visualize these energies unifying and eliminating all divisions within humanity. Healing and transforming human consciousness and establishing right human relations. Keep your heart open and hold a space to allow this energy to radiate out. See the planet alight with sparks of light from all the hearts and minds who are meditating in this way, the groups that are coming together to make a difference. Continue to hold a space in your heart. Let your whole being radiate this transforming energy. You're bringing the spiritual energies down into matter through your connection. And we're doing this together. And now I invite you to gently open your eyes and join me in repeating the great invocation, the world prayer, that has a powerful effect in distributing these energies. So we'll repeat each stanza, repeat it either silently or out loud. And we pause briefly to imagine the words playing out. So repeat it with conviction, give your words power. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Now it's time for questions, or if you've got any comments to add. What I will do, if you just sort of raise your hand and let me know that you'd like to say something, and I will unmute you, or ask you to unmute. You all look a bit stunned. It's very powerful energy when we work together in a group in meditation. It's working on a level that doesn't really engage your normal brain. So I'll give you a moment or two to let your brain engage. And as I do, I just wanted to mention, you remember we had a talk by Gary Kidgell on archetypes and myths and he treated us to Pegasus, amongst other things. Well, his second book has come out. It's called Greek Hero Myths, Symbol of Transformation. So when I send out the email with the recording link, I'll send you a link if you would like to purchase that book. Okay. His first book was fun. There's a lot of insights in there with those beautiful stories. So this one proves to be just as good, I would say. I've ordered mine today, so I'm looking forward to it. Now, has anybody got any questions? You all look a bit stunned. Any comments? Okay. No. There was something else I wanted to say. No questions about the base? Yoga works powerfully in moving energy from the lower chakras to the higher, but in a safe way. And so you might often find, I know some of you have come to my yoga classes, that if we do too much of that moving the energy up, we have to then ground our energy, okay, just to bring that connection back down again. So that's an example of a practice that does move energy through your etheric quite consciously. And it's the same with many martial arts. It's the same in Tai Chi. It's the same in Qigong and many other practices. So just if you're wanting to sort of explore a little bit more about especially grounding your energy, those are some practices. In fact, what I'll do right now, because you're all looking a bit spacey, I'll give you something you can do sitting here to ground your energy. That might clear your mind a little bit. Okay. So as you're sitting here, you can do this sitting or standing. This is a Qigong exercise. Ideally, you've got bare feet, but if you're wearing shoes, that's okay. And I want you to imagine that there are little gaps under your toes, and you're going to breathe in through those gaps. You're going to breathe along the sole of your foot, and you're going to breathe out through a gap in your heel. So it's like you're cycling, you're breathing up from the earth into those little gaps under your toes. You're breathing along your foot, and you're breathing out through a gap in your heel. And I just want you to just repeat that, say about 7 cycles. So just as you're here, just imagine that you're breathing in through your toes, breathing along your foot, breathe out through your heel, and do it in your own timing. And this is something you can do no matter how high up off the earth you are. So what have you noticed? I'm going to see if I can unmute you. If you want to unmute yourself, you can. Do you notice that now you're very aware that your feet feel very heavy, very connected, and it's cleared your mind a bit? Okay, that's being grounded. Okay, that's just a simple little technique that you could do anywhere. You don't have to be actually outside in connection with the earth to do that. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a feel for what being grounded is. Has anyone got any questions about Muladhara? You can put the question in the chat if you don't want. Thank you, Helen. if you don't want to be on the video, that's no problem. You got any questions? No. Oh, Glyza, if you unmute.
Thank you, Teresa. Everything was very good. During the meditation, I felt my feet very, very heavy. My question is about, because we needed to connect to the heart center and then with the crown center, although we were working with the base chakra. So I'd like to understand why.
Why we're doing that. Okay, so we're connecting with the base because we're connecting to the earth. Okay, and that energy coming up through the base. And we're opening, so it's like when I said, I don't know if you saw the talk by Ted, when we have a vertical alignment, so we're connecting spirit with matter through the chakras, the soul energy is connecting to the personality. Okay, we have this vertical alignment. From the heart is where we can distribute, or we can work with that spiritual energy. So the heart is a connection to the soul, or so you have spirit and matter coming together, spirit the father, matter the mother, coming together in the sun, the heart, and from there is a horizontal energy that then can go out into the world. So in the meditation, we're drawing down that energy, that spiritual energy that you bring down through your higher self. The heart is acting as a collecting vessel. So I'm just bringing you into that cross, that crucifix, if you like. But we need to stay grounded to the earth, because we are wanting to bring this energy down to make a difference here on the earth. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So it's sort of visualizing yourself as a cross is how I would see it. When you're doing your normal meditation that you would do as an individual meditation, it would still be a good idea to ground your energy as you go into meditation, but you're working individually with your higher self. This is what we're doing when we're working in a group meditation situation. Yeah, if that makes sense. Brilliant. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, we'll leave it there. And like I said, I'll make those PowerPoint slides available. Thank you. Oh, there was one thing. I am doing an online Zoom yoga workshop on grounding your energy, on yoga for grounding your energy. So I will also put some details about that in the email if anyone wants to join me. If you want to go a bit more into practically knowing how to ground your energy, because it is so important, especially if you want to feel safe when the world is so uncertain. So it's a way of ensuring that you are rock solid despite what's going on in the world around you, and not being drawn into that collective fear, but feeling your connection is good and true. And so being grounded, and it's also very important in the autumn especially, because as we move, and if you're out in nature, we're starting to see signs we are coming into the change of season. So as we move, especially from summer to autumn, it is the one that's reluctant. Okay, it's the transition we usually don't want to make. We don't want to give up the summer. We don't want to go into autumn, even though it's harvest. You know, this is where we get the fruits of all our labors. We reap the rewards in the autumn. And so what often happens, because the summer is very rajasic, we expand a lot of energy. There's a lot of heat, a lot of fire. It's a very masculine energy. It's a very yang energy. Autumn, we need to start to move toward the feminine, the yin energy of that reflective, contemplative, slowing down in the winter. And we just don't want to do it. And to be honest, if we don't, we tend to wind up exhausted. We tend to get burnout. We tend to get problems with our immune system moving into the autumn. And so there's yoga you can do that really helps you to transition from the summer into the autumn, and to support especially your immune system and your lymph system, because they are particularly vulnerable at this time of year. So it's about embracing change. It's about embracing the good things about every season, but especially at the moment, there's so much change in the world. There's so much that's uncertain. It would be very easy not to feel grounded, to feel like you're being pulled by the collective fear in this direction and this and that, and being pulled in every which way and losing that vertical alignment that keeps you true and keeps you connected to your higher self. And, you know, you may find at the moment you have to actually connect to your higher self every day, connect to the earth, actually, you know, go out, go for walks, go into nature, go into your garden as an active process to stay well and to stay centered in your highest vibration, so that you're not pulled down into the collective fear. Because once you're pulled down into that, it's really hard to get out of it. And over time, it does lead to problems with, you know, anxiety and depression, and just fear and doubt overwhelming your whole system, and especially your nervous system. So this time of year, we're a little bit more vulnerable, and obviously with all that's going on in the world, we want to keep really well, and we want to stay positive so that we can hold that energy. Remember the talk I did on, you know, 15% of people can hold and lift the vibration for the other 85%. So let yourself be one of those 15% that are keeping your vibration high, keeping your energy high, keeping that connection to your higher self, to your soul, so that you're not pulled down into, you know, turn off the news, turn off your telly, get yourself outside, just go and watch nature starting to prepare. You know, we've got all the berries, you know, there's lots out in nature to support your immune system. All the dark berries are fantastic antioxidants for your immune system. It's all there for you. The wind that blows, the changeable weather, it's all getting rid of all that needs to go. So embrace this time of year if you can. And there are yoga and Qigong and various practices to help you move through this with grace and ease. So I'll send you some information. Thank you very much and have a lovely evening. Namaste.